Thank you, Deputy Presiding Officer, and I move the motion in my name. We all want to see deposit returns succeed, and we know it can. Look at the success other countries have had, such as Latvia, where 93% of the population regularly use DRS. Improving recycling and reducing litter are goals we all share, especially now the Scottish Government's recycling efforts have stalled. Their 2013 recycling target still hasn't been met. Ironic, given they first committed to deposit return in the same year. But despite 10 years to prepare, they've left it to the last minute. I know, having spent the past decade either working in the waste sector or here in Parliament, calling on them to plan ahead, such as creating a level playing field for small businesses, developing a reverse vending machine procurement framework, ensuring no council job losses, and constructing a plastic recycling plant to retain collected materials in our economy. They've done none of this, and so the Scottish Government finds itself in the middle of an almighty mess of its own creation. Yes.
Stephen Kerr.
I am grateful to Maurice Golden for giving way. Does he read any significance into the fact that the Minister responsible for this unfolding disaster is sitting very much alone on the front bench? No colleagues there to support her. No one sitting even behind her, in the row behind her. Any significance in this from your point of view, Maurice Golden?
Maurice Golden.
It's quite striking and telling, because it's not just the Minister's fault. The Minister has been in post since 2021, and actually the Scottish Government have done next to nothing in the preceding years to launch a deposit return scheme. But the latest Gateway review concluded, and I quote, "A fully functioning and compliant DRS cannot be in operation for the revised August 2023 schedule."
Minister Lorna Slater.
Unfortunately, I must correct the record for the member there. The latest Gateway review, the one that was completed in October last year, has stated that it is feasible. The member is quoting the Gateway review from May last year and not the latest review. The latest review, undertaken in October, says it is feasible to deliver by August this year.
Maurice Golden.
Incorrect. I'm quoting the latest review that was published, and that is in December this year. And that is, in my view, the latest review. The Scottish Government, I need to make some progress, but I will come back to you, Minister. The Scottish Government already had to postpone and scale back the online take-back policy, but they're determined to rush the scheme through regardless. Now, I recognise there have been some attempts to address the problems. We've had confirmation on label stickering and the removal of one-day charges for retained UK barcodes and month-one charges for all products, measures to reduce administrative burden and help smaller producers with cash flow. We all welcome this. But where is the support for small retailers and hospitality? They have upfront costs too, such as reverse vending machines, and added costs could see hefty price increases on stock orders. They face being out of pocket, with handling fees not covering their costs, despite the recent increase. And that's happy to.
Minister.
The retail handling fees offered in Scotland are significantly higher for manual return points than anywhere else in Europe and are towards the high end of schemes elsewhere in Europe. Our scheme is comparable and, in fact, more generous than similar schemes in Europe.
Maurice Golden.
Well, I guess we'll find out in court, because the Scottish Government, the Scottish Grocers Federation are taking DRS to court over retail handling fees. So I guess that is the place we will find out whether it's fair or not. But that's before we get to other challenges, such as container storage and insurance cover. Incredibly, though, retailers still don't have an operational blueprint, forcing them to take a best guess at how to spend around £250 million to be compliant. Meanwhile, wholesalers are waiting on solutions for stock and bonded warehouses and how the scheme will define an importer. Consumers face higher costs and reduced choice. One brewer estimates the cost passed on to shoppers could be as much as 40p per container, and the Scottish Wholesale Association are warning up to 40% of brands could disappear from Scotland. Let's not forget local authorities. Falkirk will stop collecting glass altogether, whilst others are considering reducing collections. So we could see job losses, financial hits and poorer recycling services, hardly the outcome expected from a scheme designed to benefit our environment and communities. I need to make a bit more progress. Coming back to producers, there's still a significant outstanding issues. For example, the missing guidance on glass tolerances, allowing them enough time to introduce new accounting and invoicing processes, and addressing the UK barcode surcharge that disproportionately costs more for Scottish producers. Then there is the producer agreement itself. Producers are being rushed to sign up to a scheme without having the full details or costs. If they don't sign, they can't sell their products. It's a lose-lose scenario. When confronted with these problems, the Scottish Government hide behind the pretence that this scheme is industry-led.
The member's in his last minute.
Nothing could be further from the truth. This is a government-run scheme, often fronted by a secretive company put in place without a competitive or transparent process. The Scottish Government have so far refused to issue a Section 5 to allow FOIs into Circularity Scotland. It's a dereliction of duty that raises questions around procurement practices and dodgy dealings. I've spoken with dozens of businesses and trade bodies, and they all want deposit return to succeed. But that goodwill is being eroded by a poorly planned process, and we need practical solutions, such as an immediate review to consider how we manage to launch this scheme successfully, extend producer registration until full costs are provided, grant small producers a grace period before joining, take a phased approach to introduction, review procurement processes so that small waste management companies are allowed to compete for collection contracts. Help retailers by boosting the handling fee, provide to-pay cover for local authority and waste management staff facing redundancy, take Circularity Scotland into special measures, plan ahead with a business case for digital system to future-proof. DRS has been rolled out in a manner which will destroy business, particularly small business, jobs and livelihoods. If the Scottish Government is willing, we can rescue deposit return. I urge them to do so before we pass the point of no return.